And right now we're talking about robotics and AI with the new show Sunny on Apple TV Plus. And I want to welcome to the program the voice and emotions of Sunny, Joanna Sotomura.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. Of course, Sunny has been on Apple TV Plus for the past few weeks. There's still a number of episodes that have to come out, and people keep watching because some crazy stuff is going to go down. There's already been some crazy stuff, but it's going to get intense. That's all I got to say. For people who haven't checked out the series, what's the show all about?
Yeah, it's funny because it's such a simple question, but it's like there's so much going on. But basically, the show is about this woman, Susie Sakamoto, played by Rashida Jones, who is an absolute legend. She lives in Kyoto, and one day her husband and son die in this mysterious plane crash. And his tech company then gives her this top of the line robot that we call HomeBots. And together, the two of them try to figure out like what exactly happened to her family. And it's a really cool, dark comedy mystery thriller, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting as you put it in those words because the show itself is so many things simultaneously, and depending on where you are in the storyline and and which characters you're talking to, or sorry, watching, I should say, um, it can be all of that or none of it, depending on what is going on. And then, yes, as Andrew alluded to, there is some craziness towards the end,
It
especially in one
contains
episode.
multitudes. It
Yeah, there's
contains
a
multitudes.
lot of
Yeah.
things going on. But one of the coolest things is I heard about was with your depiction of Sunny is that you were in motion cap as well, like as they were capturing your
And it's
facial
like real
expressions.
time motion cap. Like, what is
Yeah.
this?
So I'm trying to think of what the actual term is, but basically what it was I would go on set, and I was in Kyoto in Japan filming for the 6 months that we were shooting. So I was there every day that Sunny was on set, I was on set. So I'd go and I would do the rehearsal as myself, as Joanna, and they would put like a little piece of tape on my belly where Sunny's eye lines would be. And then I would go off and get rigged up in this helmet that had a monitor, a ring light, and a camera that would capture my facial expressions and transmit them in real time to the robot that they then would wheel out on set and do the scene. So when Sunny is talking, it's my voice. I'm only just a few feet away off camera, and whenever I'm moving my head, she's moving her head. And we had two puppeteers mimicking my hands and body on the day. So it took a lot of us. Yeah, but her little soul, that's me.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that really was surprised me so much to find out that it was like a real-time translation of like when they were seeing Sonny make a face, you were making that face at that exact same moment, that it was reading all of that. And I think what really shocks me is that on this show, it's a show where, Sonny is the only robot that we get to know, yet she's probably the most human of everybody. Like, so much humanity comes from this robot. And I know there's a lot of people that watched the first few episodes and they're like, oh, she's, she's so nice, but I don't trust her. For me, I'm sitting there going, this is the nicest person on the planet. Like, I would want Sunny to be in my life. Like, there just isn't that. I feel like, I guess people need to feel like there's a cynicism, like a sinisterness to it, but I automatically was like, no, no, Sunny's my girl. I know Sunny. Sunny's
Ah,
good. Yeah,
tight. Thanks, man.
yeah,
I think that also maybe goes to say something about people too, or nowadays if you're just honestly trying to lend an overly eager hand, maybe people just are very quick to distrust that. I don't know, but yeah, I know it was funny when I saw that too. They're like, yeah, she's cool, but I don't trust her. And I was like, huh, okay. All
I,
right. Yeah, keep watching. Let's see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. I feel
yeah,
like if Sunny was to hear that, she'd be like, well, what can I do to make them trust
right,
me?
Yeah.
You know?
She'd be
yeah,
like, I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah. No, she totally reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother was always like that. She was always just like super nice and and helpful. Um, but then of course my grandmother, she had a tough side too. So you don't, like she almost stabbed me once. So like that was my fault. That was my fault. I'm not, I scared her. She had a knife in her hand and it just went forward. wasn't good. But
Totally.
no, but you don't mess with my grandma. But no, she was super nice like that, and it kind of reminded me of that. It's just that like that helping, like, oh, you're hungry? What can I make for you? It's like, yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's midnight.
Mhm.
You roll in the door, you're half asleep, half drunk, and it's like, oh, I could really use a bag of chips. She'd be like, all right, get the coat on. She'd go out. That's what Sunny feels like to me. It's just like that, like Andrew said, that really nice person who's
Yeah.
your best ride or die.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so cool. Your grandma sounds awesome.
Thanks.
And I think it's funny too because she's just so opposite energy wise to what Susie is
Yeah.
going through and how she is. And so I think their relationship is really, really fun. And it was so much fun to play too, to play into that.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the other thing is that like we have this mystery in the show and all that. But essentially when you break it down, I feel like this is more of an exploration on friendship and
Mm.
trust. And like just watching Sunny and Mixie and Susie and the three of them and what they're going through and the distrust between Mixie and Sunny and that rivalry and the jealousy there. To me, it was like that's what I was really the most invested in, was seeing these three people kind of working through relating to one another. Now, when you read the scripts and stuff, was that something that you really appealed to you? Were you like, oh my God, this is actually more than just a mystery. This is about friendship.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. When I first read the scripts, I was like so in love with the Sunny character. And then I loved the story and their friendship and how it all just sort of like evolves and devolves and just becomes what it is. And yeah, I think AI kind of takes a backseat to all of that. And it just really explores like loss and grief and devastation and the big theme of loneliness. Um, and then, then there happen to also be robots. So yeah, yeah.
And that's a really great point, because one of the other things I really love about this show, and I think that this show does a really excellent job of doing, is kind of what you're talking about there a little bit, is that right now in the world, everybody views AI as this big, scary thing. And then they imagine it's not so much AI programs. They're worried about that too, but it's like they think about it within inside of a robot body, which is big and scary. And we've seen Terminator, things like that. But this show gives such a nice spin on that, because even with the mysteries and some of the other storylines that are going on, it's not it's not necessarily the robot's fault, and
Mhm.
it's given such a nice, it's a nice positive spin on something that I think is eventually going to be our lives, like whether it happens in our lifetime or not. If I get to see it, I really hope I do, because I would love to have a Sunny in my life. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie. That's
Yeah, because you've taken advantage of your grandmother enough. Now you need a
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Now that 'cause she's unfortunately she's gone, but
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
some. I need that other, the happiest.
Warmth. Yeah, that warmth, caringness, that someone just to like unconditionally look after you.
Yeah.
Uh,
My
yeah,
wife does a nice job of that, but
well, I
sometimes
mean, a robot.
yeah, but she also holds my feet to the fire. So it's like you just want like, but you want somebody who, can help you cook a meal at midnight or at 2 a.m., right? Like that's because that was one of the things about the character that I really loved, is not only are you guys showing this very positive thing, but like Andrew said, it's this continuous friendship angle,
Mhm.
and how that AI isn't scary, or it could not be scary if we handle it correctly. And I think that's something else that this project really does really, really well, is to show that, we are a big part of why they will be the way they are.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that with your character, like how much fun was it every day? Like, cause it says you're on set, you're doing it. Were you getting the positive reaction from Rashida and everybody because you were there, that you could actually feel like everybody was acting together instead of just in a booth somewhere?
Oh yeah. I mean, it did come with a lot of its own challenges because to my knowledge, no one has ever really used this sort of technology
Mm.
before. So it was just kind of figuring it out on the day in Kyoto heat in the dead of summer. But I think the most fun that we had was like in between takes. Usually as an actor, you're on set, and you're just kind of like talking, catching up over your weekend or whatever. And so just to be Sunny when the old cut and be like, well, that was fun, guys. So what are you gonna have for lunch? And just like, and so there were a lot of times people forgot that like Sunny's not a real robot. It's me in a tent just a ways away. So they'd like go down and like whisper something in her ear, but my mic would be off, so I couldn't hear. And I just would nod my head and be like, "Oh, okay." So like just bringing her to life in between takes was great. And sometimes we had some of the robot handlers come and like wipe down her face or clean her ears. And so I would just make sure to like close my eyes, like Sunny was at a little spa day, or just give her like a little bit of attitude in between. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, to be able to play around like that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We got some emails that came in. The first email, Green, this has to do with your sound mix-up at the
okay.
beginning of the show. It says, "Hey geeks, my old man fell off his chair. He was turning up his hearing aid trying to hear Mr. Green, and all of a sudden, Mr. Green was heard, and my old man fell off his ass. Good job." So that was from Dave M.
I'm sorry, Dave, to scare your father. That's it wasn't the intention. I just can't remember how to use technology today at all.
Green's getting on in his years. That's what it is. He didn't have someone like Sunny there to remind him.
Yes, that was it.
Mic. Yeah. And then we also got an email in from Hannah P, which I know the answer to this one, but of course I'll let you answer it, Joanna. It says, "Hey, was Joanna born in Hawaii? If so, what part?"
Yes, I was. I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii, and then in there, Hawaii Kai. And I went to school at Iolani. Go Raiders.
There you go. Go Raiders. Definitely. Oh, no, it's fantastic. Now, of course, not all the episodes are out yet. There is a big episode 9, the penultimate episode, where I feel like all of what Sunny's learned so far and like the entire arc of her being is fully explored in a way that is very high concept and very fitting with the location of the show.
Yep.
Again, I have to do all this dancing
Oh,
around.
nice job. Well done.
Yeah. And like, again, this is where Sunny kind of takes center stage and the whole episode is about her. What was it like putting that together? Because I know that, you were in a little tent in a floorboard the entire time during this, but it was like all eyes were on you for this. What was it like putting that episode together?
Oh, it was all the things. So when I was auditioning for the part, I had most of the scenes that you've already seen in episodes 1 and 2. And I was like, oh, fun, bubbly, bright, sweet robot girl. And then my last audition was a scene from that episode. And I was like, what is happening? I didn't really have that much context. I was like, okay. But I saw all the stuff that Sunny got to do emotionally in that. And I was like, let's go. So fortunately, they liked what I did and I booked the part. And then when it came to filming that episode, it was wonderful. It was really fun to be able to play with all of the colors of Sunny, as well as, nope.
Yep.
As well as acting with some incredible people.
Yeah. You caught yourself. That's good.
Ooh, yeah. Spoilers. And our director Makoto Nagahisa is just a visionary. His world that he built in that episode was so wonderful, and it's one that I just cannot wait for everyone to see.
Yeah, it is. I was kind of half alluding to it earlier because it is a very interesting episode to watch for all of the reasons you alluded to, Andrew's alluding to. And I'm just wondering, because as you mentioned with the audition process, you had a couple from the first episodes, you had some sides, and then the sides from that episode. Was that a bit like seeing that layer, those layers of complexity from what was, some might argue, just, oh, you're doing a voiceover for a robot. Okay, cool. Like, but to now get that stuff from episode 9, really, you go, oh, it's not just, I do robot stuff and talk like, no, it's not that at all. Like you got a huge range. Was when you saw that, like, it sounds like that was a big determining factor for you to get like super pumped about this role.
Oh yeah. I mean, it didn't take a lot for me to get pumped for this role. I mean, the breakdown for the character was like a 3 foot tall top of the line robot that's like a Girl Scout who tries her best and goes wrong. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And then on top of that, I read the scripts and we're like, oh my God, this world that Katie Robbins, our showrunner, created was so wonderful. And it's nothing like I read before. You think it's going to go one way and it goes totally the opposite direction. And then so to get this one, episode 9, and to be like, okay, I can actually, as an actor, go for it. It was a dream. It was too much fun.
That is so awesome. Now, also, when you guys shot this, you shot this in Kyoto, Japan in 2022, while there were still restrictions for travel, like they weren't allowing any tourists in. You guys were there because you were working. So you essentially got to see Japan in a way that other people don't get a chance to see it. Did this give you a chance to actually go to a lot of public places that would be usually crowded and harder to get to?
Oh, yeah. We went June of 2022 to December of that year. So it was 6 months before. It was most of the time there. Yeah, it was just you had to have a work visa to be able to be there. So when we filmed a month in Kyoto and then the rest was in Tokyo at Toho Studios. But that month in Kyoto, like we went to Gion where you would see the Meikos and Geikos and geishas, and there was like nobody. And it was just beautiful. And some of the shots that we got in the show, I don't know that we could ever recreate because the streets are just empty and serene and peaceful. And I hear now it's quite the opposite in a lot of those high tourist places. But it was a way. It was my first time exploring Japan too. And I mean, what a way to see it for the first time. My goodness.
Oh yeah, and the fact you shot at Toho Studios, I know Mr. Green, you're very excited to hear that.
Of
Oh
course.
yeah.
And you,
I'm a big Godzilla guy, so it's
yeah,
like,
you did a little. Joanna, you did a little exploration of the studios while you were there, right?
A little bit. I mean, we worked really hard. So the little time I got off, I just tried to like run around and see what it was all about. Because I know Toho, they don't like really have tours and stuff. So unless you're working there, you can't see the studio. But every day driving in, there's like this tall Godzilla right outside, this big statue. And then you go to our lot and there's this big Mothra like mural, and there's all different kinds of really cool, iconic pictures from different wonderful movies that were shot there. And then I went at the end of shooting because I was trying not to be a nerd, but the last day I just ran to it's not a gift shop, it was actually their office that they sold merch at, and I like interrupted everyone. I was like, excuse me, can I have all of your hats? Which was like a little embarrassing, but I was like, I have no shame anymore. I got 2 more days in Tokyo, I gotta go. But yeah, Toho is amazing. It's awesome.
well, it sounds like you had such a great time, and you said this was your first time being in Japan. Like getting that experience, it makes you want to go back again, like take the family and just really like just have like a me time, not a work time, but like now just just get to show your family what it was like being there.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of felt like Japan became my home. Like I was really sad to come back to LA because it was just so wonderful. So now I'm like, oh, I get to go see my home again. But yeah, I'd love to take everyone there. I keep saying if there's a season 2, there's no excuse to not come visit, except, if you have a legitimate excuse, then that's fine.
Well, that's different. Yeah.
yeah.
If you broke your leg and you can't fly, or you met some other medical conditions, those are totally legit.
Yeah,
otherwise,
you all accept everything else is like, nah, man.
Well, Joanna, I want to thank you so much for talking with us today. Because we're an uncensored show. If the show was completely out already, I would probably end this interview saying a very inappropriate catchphrase.
Yeah.
At the end.
Well said. I understand.
Yes. That might cause some violence for certain people. Who knows? But yeah, I got to say, really enjoyed the show, and Sunny was such a big part of it.
Yeah.
Again, I think Green's talked about this before. When you can feel emotional resonance from a robot, when it makes you want to cry, you know that you're doing something right. Definitely.
Oh,
100%.
thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot. We worked really hard on that. So that's really, really nice of you to say thank you.
Definitely. And people out there, you should trust Sunny. Sunny's a good robot. Just keep watching. It's good. I look forward to people checking out the rest of the season. And, fingers crossed for season 2 for you guys.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Fingers crossed.
All right. Have yourself a good night.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.